Hey there, Heather Hurler. It's Jeff Cutter and welcome you to another Stone Cold Hockey video. We are just about done the 1967-68 regular season in which I tried to do the St. Louis Blues and their run to the Stanley Cup Finals. In real life, they were the first expansion team to make the finals because the NHL decided all the original six teams would be in the East Division and the six expansion teams would be in the West Division. As you can see by the standings, you do know there's just one day, a couple days left. We know Toronto will be fourth place. Chicago and Detroit badly sucked. While the Blackhawks traded away Phil Esposito was kind of a dumb move. Detroit slipping a little bit with Mr. Hockey not playing in the postseason. Oakland not doing so well. We know this. Pittsburgh will win the West and be the one seed. Philly and LA are battling for the two seed. Whoever loses will be the three seed because the NHL decided in their wisdom to go one versus three and two versus four instead of 1, 4, 2, 3. So whoever falls between Philly and LA will face Pittsburgh, and then whoever wins that battle will face either St. Louis or Minnesota. St. Louis does have the advantage because they have more wins, 23 to Minnesota's 19. And remember, regular season overtime was not there in 1968. Goals parade, Stan Mikita will win the goals parade, 54. Bobby Hall, I think has one more game left to reach 50 goals. Bill Cowboy Flight's got 37 for third, and the most by an expansion team player. Jerry Melnick, 14 for 28 goals. That's it. Assist wise, Bobby Russo leads Gordie Howe and Rob Chabert in the assist parade and all that. Not by much. Stan Mikita will win the Art Ross for points in a year. Gordie Howe's second. Phil Esposito and Raj Gilbert are tied for third. The highest point total by expansion player is Cowboy Flat with 65 points. We don't have any guy in the top 30. Oh, Barrison's got 52. Penalty minutes race. Barclay Plager wants to be the penalty leader. He's actually one penalty minute behind Van Imp and W. Don Orry. No Picard's fifth. Bob Plager's 17th. As for goals against, Seth Martin, 6 shutouts, 11, 11, and 4. But yet, he's done well. Glenn Hall, been our goalie, 11, 20, and 11. Man, 5 shutouts, but man, he's been stinking up the joint. Bavel and Gomborz are the only ones better than him. Standings wise, St. Louis and Minnesota both have to play 2 games. LA and Oakland are actually done. So LA will be facing Pittsburgh in the postseason no matter what. And Philly will be waiting on either us or Minnesota. We have more wins, so that's why we're in first place. We're ahead of Minnesota. Of course, Minnesota did not. Minnesota made the playoffs in real life. So 164 goals, not a lot. 192 against. That's still the second least in the West, behind only Philly. Anyway, 18, 11, 7 at home. On the road, disasters. 5, 22, and 9. Even those pesky Oakland Seals have more road wins than us. Looking at our points, Red Berenson leads Jerry Melnick and Frank St. Marcelo. Mama. Glenn Hall 11, 20, and 11. Seth Martin 11, 11, and 4. Don Cayley only 1, 2, and 1. So yeah, you see schedules and all that. We really haven't had much luck with streaks. We're on a 6-game winless streak. 2 more games left. 23 hat tricks in the NHL. We had one with Melnick against Minnesota and Ecclestone against Boston. We were victimized by Roger Bear with a hat trick. Cowboy Flat with one against us. The most memorable game is Minnesota's 6-4 win over Detroit. That just happened. Minnesota scoring 4 goals in the third period to take down Detroit. I don't know if that should have been game of the week. Well, it's a 3-goal comeback. Detroit was up 4-1. Okay, maybe so. Boston, Chicago, October 18th, when the Blackhawks were up 3-0 and choked it. And Boston, when they were down 3-0 to Oakland and came back to win. Our highest scoring game is our win in LA on December 6th when we were down 2-0 but still won the game. So we play Minnesota. I think a win, we're in the playoffs. And we bring Glenn Hall to the crease against Gary Bauman. They might have to go with Cesar Meneco tomorrow. But anyway, if the Blues win, then I think that means we're probably going to see Don Kelly versus Carl Wetzel because, you might as well save your goalies. So strange how Minnesota will go with Bauman. But Maybe they think they're going to win. We'll see. Anyway, Minnesota has Wayne Connolly, Ray Cullen, Parker McDonald, Andre Boudreas, the man with the headband, Dave Ballon, former Hab, Mike McMahon, Bill Goldsworthy. You're the goalie shuffler from Waterloo, Ontario. J.P. Parise. Yeah, he was a North Star legend before an Islander who was a Ranger killer. Bill Collins, Bob Boywelovich, Milan Marcetta, Bill Masterton. I don't know why he's there. Technically, he did die during the season. Bob McCord, Sandy Fitzpatrick, Ted Taylor, who would be maybe, I think, a college hockey coach. Someone quote me on that. Murray Hall, Moose Fasco, former Blackhawk icon. Bronco Horvath, who played for 5 of the original 6 teams. Duke Harris, Pete Gogan, Bob Charlebois, Bill Plager, because you see Bob and Barclay in St. Louis, Bill Plager, Minnesota, Ted McCaskill. I was thinking he was that NHLPA guy, but that's Ted Saskin. Len Lund and a young Lou Nanny, who would be a good GM for the North Stars. The Blues with Red Berenson, great player that we picked up for the Red Wings. Frank St. Marcel, Jerry Melnick, Jimmy Roberts, former Hab icon, Bill McCurry, not the referee, but the referee's uncle. Gary Sabard, Larry Keenan, Terry Crisp, who would go on to win a cup as a player, and the Flames as a coach. Don McKenney, known for being traded with Andy Bathgate to Toronto. Ronnie Schock, the guy in double overtime in real life who got the Blues to the Stanley Cup Finals. Excuse me. Craig Cameron, Tim Ecclestone, Barclay Plager, Dickie Moore, the former Habit Levi Kahn, Wayne Rivers, Fred Huckle, Bob Plager, Roger and Noah Picard, the Picard brothers, Noah Picard, yes, the guy who tripped up Bobby Orr in 1970. Al Arbor, a defenseman with glasses, Neil Baudouin, and Ray Fortin. Here we go. Long ways away. And no shot from McMahon. 4 minutes later. Chance for Cullen, no. 5 minutes later. Chance for us, Frank Marcel, no. Both teams with a hit. Chance for us, Ronnie Schock, no. So yeah, we need to win this game. 3 minutes later. Yes, gets hit. Much later. Aggression. Aggression and the penalty to J.P. Parise. No shot by Sabard. No shot by Cameron. Rick. Much later. Just for Bill McCreary. I don't think so. Saved by Belmont. No score. Boy, this is tough. We're tied in points. Yeah, we have more wins. Chance for Berenson for the first goal. Oh, Bowman with a stop. How? Ray, battle and a penalty on us. No Picard for 2. Goldsberg missed Sabrin. He missed. Crunched. 2 minutes later. He got crunched. 5 minutes later. That's for the North Stars. Cullen stopped by Glenn Hall. Nice stop. That's for Minnesota. Boudreas from Bill Collins. With 3 minutes left, Minnesota has just taken a 1-0 lead. Oh no. Empty net. And we blow it. We just needed a win over the North Stars. We can't score a goal. We only give up 1 goal, but it was not enough as Minnesota wins 1-0, and now they have 4th place. Boudreas his 19th. 306 away from a scoreless tie and definitely winner take all. But now Minnesota's won, so now we're tied. They have 64, we have 62. Yeah, it'd be weird that we would have the 4th most wins. And yeah, Minnesota with 24 ties would get in. So Toronto faced Boston. Nothing really to play for. Actually, Boston, Rangers, and Montreal are tied, aren't they? Yeah, Boston, Rangers, Montreal are in a 3-horse race with Boston and the Rangers ahead of everyone. Toronto knows they're 4th. But Boston beats them 5-2 as Cheevers beats Gamble. Toronto goes by Murray Oliver, former Bruin, and Bobby Pulford. Busick, Ken Hutch Sr., Busick, Pie McKenzie, and Pie McKenzie scoring the goals for the Bruins, Detroit, Chicago. That game doesn't really mean anything. They tied 5-5. Montreal Rangers sees a 1-1 tie. Vachon and Simmons getting the points. Cournoyer for Montreal and Reg Fleming for the Rangers. That actually was huge. Philly, Pittsburgh. It doesn't matter what happens. Pittsburgh wins 7-0. Wow. Binkley with the shutout. Connick, Fontaine, D. McDonald, Boivin, Schinkel, Hicks. So what does that mean with the last game? Boston wins. Well, Boston won. Rangers and Montreal tied, but the Rangers take second because they have more wins than Montreal. So that means Montreal goes into Boston, and Toronto will face the Rangers in the playoffs. So I guess Bruin fans are going to be sending fruit baskets to Montreal because they tied the Rangers to make sure Boston took first place, but Montreal has to head to Boston. Yeah. It's weird. Boston, 3 games below 500 with the Rangers and Montreal ahead of them. But, man, their road record, they only lost 4 games in regulation on home turf. Well, 4 games, period, because overtime was not used. So if we beat St. Louis, Minnesota, we're in against Philly, then LA, Pittsburgh. That we know. And it will be Bauman versus Hall again. Might as well go with the hot hand. If we had beaten Minnesota, then practically we would have went with Cayley versus Wetzel. 3 minutes later, double hit. Much later. No hit. 4 minutes later. Good! Fire! Mike McMahon is 14 from the Liberty Ted Taylor. We're in trouble. And we get penalized. Plager. I don't know which one. Fire! McMahon is second to the night from Montreal. We're in deep trouble. We're down 2-0. Man, why can't we score any goals? 4 minutes later. Card for 2. We're down. Yeah, William Fitzpatrick. Outstanding castle from Wojciech and Budrias. It's 3-0 Minnesota. We're gonna lose. We're gonna go with Seth Martin. We have no other options. Melnick got stopped by Bellman. Yeah, they're gonna just kill the clock, I think. We're gonna fight Picard and Goldsworthy. At least we took out Goldsworthy, but unfortunately, though, we practically took ourselves out. Mike McMahon trying for the hat trick. No, sir. No hat trick tonight. Oh, geez, I should have checked Chicago to see if Mikita's got his 50th goal. They're just killing the clock on us. Skeeler! Too little, too late. Red Baron, his 23rd from McKinney and Sabrin. At least we scored on Bauman. Mullet scored! Niall Riyad is 29 from Rivers and Arbor. It's 3-2. Can we do it again? No. And Minnesota again beats us. And once again, we lose by 1 goal and couldn't win on the last weekend. That would have snuck into the 4th spot. And once again, we're out of the playoffs. The Blues are out of the playoffs. How the fuck did that happen? Well, it happened. Did Makita get number 50? I mean, did Bobby Hall get number 50? He did in the 3rd period. Okay. So Makita and Hall. So that's it. We're out of the playoffs. We only got 62 fucking points in the year. 23, 35, and 16. Disastrous. Only Detroit and Oakland were behind us. I wonder how bad we were against Oakland. And that cost us. Stan Mikita and Bobby Hall are the only guys who beat 40 goals. Bill Cowboy Flight was 3rd with 37. Melnick finished 12th with 29 goals. Assist-wise, Bobby Russo was named the assist winner over Gordy Howe and Marshall Bear. Points-wise, Makita 103, Howell 81. Espel tied for 3rd in his first season in Boston. Penalty minute mark. Barclay Plager did not win the penalty award. He lost by 1 penalty minute to Ed Van Imp. So Well, Noah Picard was 4th. Bob Plager was 16th on the penalty minutes list. We were badly misshapen. Seth Martin tried all he could. Gump Worsley wins the goals against title. We're tied 3. Excuse me. Glenn Hall was disastrous. 11th place. 11, 22, and 11. At least he had a better goals against than Bruce Campbell, and that guy was above 500. I wonder how poorly we did against those pesky Oakland Seals. Okay, we beat Oakland. We lost Oakland. We tied Oakland, so 1-1-1, 2-1-1, 3-1-1, 3-2-1, 3-3-1, 3-4-1, 4-4-1, 4-4-2. We played Oakland 10 times. We were 4-4-2 against those guys. We were 4-4-2 against the worst team in the league. Well, anyway, the playoffs happened and all that. So yeah, the rules are 1 versus 3, 2 4, 1 versus 3, 2 versus 4. Now, since the Blues are out of the playoffs, we might as well simulate the playoffs. Boston wins in overtime, and the hero was Johnny Busick, his second in the night from Hodge and McKenzie. Rangers win in overtime 3-2. Harry Howe, known for his games but not his goals, from Martel and Gilbert, made it an overtime winner. Philly wins 3-1 over Minnesota. Connolly did score for Minnesota, but Philly scored with 2 from Sutherland, won by Joe Watson. And Pittsburgh crushes LA 4-1. Game 2 sees the Rangers crush Toronto 5-2 to take a 2-0 lead. Minnesota goes into Philly, wins 6-3 on goals by Philly was up 3-0, but goals by Connolly, Cullen, McMahon, Ballin, McMahon, and Connolly. Yeah, Mike McMahon, the guy who kind of screwed us. Well, that sucked. Yeah, Philly was up 3-0 on them. Yikes. LA beats Pittsburgh to tie that series 1-1. And Montreal wins in overtime in game 2. Worsley, the hero. Jean Beliveau, gentleman Jean Beliveau from Rousseau and LaPerriere. Philly, Minnesota. Sees Minnesota win 5-2. Damn those guys. Connolly, Marcetta, Cullen, Boudreaux, and Cullen. Pittsburgh in overtime. Andy Bathgate, the former Leaf. Montreal with a shutout over Boston. Cheevers losing the Gump Worsley. Montreal proving their pedigree. Backstrom, Belleville, Lemaire, and Backstrom scoring the goals. And Toronto wins 3-2, a narrow one. As Ellis, and Floyd Smith. Floyd Smith? Huh. He's a goal scorer? Pittsburgh, LA. LA crushes at 5-2 to force at least a game 6. Montreal wins 4-1 as Vachon beats Johnston. Montreal goes by Belleville, Rousseau, and Conway. Leafs win 1-0 in overtime to force at least a game 6. Jackman and Gamble going 74 minutes before Ron Ellis from Mike Shaker Walton. And Philly beats Minnesota 1-0 on a goal by Misyuk. Who the heck is that? So Montreal, the only team that's up 3-1, finishes it off 6-4. Vachon beats Johnston. Boston goes by Espel, Hodge, Stanfield, and Espel. Espel only scoring 2 playoff goals. Ken Hodge Sr. scoring 5. Yeek. Montreal goes by Lemaire, Rousseau, Redmond, Duff, Lemaire, and Conway. Montreal is moving on. Rangers crushed Toronto 6-1 in game 5. Jackman over Gamble. Only Toronto goals by Ron Ellis. Nevin, Gilbert, Nevin with a hat trick against his former team. Vic Hadfield scoring 2 goals. Minnesota with a shutout on Philly. Mango. Collins and Fitzpatrick scored the goals for Minnesota. And Pittsburgh wins 4-2 over LA to go up 3-2 in their series. Rangers will finish it off 3-0 shutout by Jackman, Gilbert, Marshall, and Orlin Kurtenbach. What a name. Yeah, the Rangers win. They will host Montreal in the next round because... Oh, they won't tell us the semifinals yet. Yep, because they're the higher seed. So the Rangers will host Montreal in the Eastern Finals. Philly beats Minnesota to force overtime. Gary Dornhofer early in overtime from Stratton and Selby. And Pittsburgh beats LA 3-1. Binkley beats Rutledge. Hicks, Ingerfield, and McDonald's goals for Pittsburgh. Wall for LA. We know Pittsburgh gets to host the Western Final regardless of that. If I were a betting man, I would go with Minnesota. Yep, I thought so. Minnesota wins 6-3. They were down 3-2 after 2 periods. Minnesota had goals by Marcelo and JP Parise, but Hoekstra, Gauthier, and Hoekstra scoring for Philly. But Minnesota 4 goals in the third period. Collins, Parise, Cullen, and Wayne Connolly. So it will be Minnesota versus Pittsburgh in the West and Rangers Montreal in the East. Let's take a look at the summary. Playoff stats. Wayne Connolly has 7 goals. Ken Hodge Sr. second, John Belleville third. Points wise, Wayne Connolly with 11 points. Bobby Russo with 10. John Belleville with 8. But it's a little bit biased because they played 7 games. Jackman with the best goals against 137. Jerry Cheevers won a game, but yet he has a worse goals against than Bauer Rutledge, Wayne Rutledge, who went 4 and out, 3-2-1. Whatever. Rangers Montreal game 1 sees Montreal win narrowly 3-2. Goals by Shields, Tremblay, Bellyville, and Ferguson. Gilbert and Nevin for the Rangers. Minnesota goes into Pittsburgh, win 4-1. Minico beats Basson. Pitt goal by Bathgate, but Colin, McMahon, Marcetta, and McMahon, the heroes. Did we talk about Montreal? I should be checking one. Minnesota crushes Pittsburgh 8-2. Bauman over Binkley. Pittsburgh goes by Dylan Ball and Ubrico, but Minnesota goes by McMahon, Collin, Connolly, Hall. Murray Hall? Collins, Taylor, Cullen, and McMahon. Minnesota halfway home. Rangers win 4-1. Jackman over Worsley. Montreal go by Ferguson, but Rochelle, Marshall, Goyette, and Fleming. So 2 policemen scoring goals. Ferguson for Montreal, Fleming for the Rangers. Game 3 sees the Rangers win 4-1. Jackman over Fashon. Nevin with 2, Fleming and Hatfield with 1 each. Yvan Cournoyer with his 5th of the postseason. The only Montreal goal. Minnesota thought they had it, but Pittsburgh in overtime. Paul Andre at 650 from Spear and Bathgate saves today. Pittsburgh actually were down and out. They hadn't scored with 12 seconds left to force overtime. Ingerfield from Bathgate. Minnesota will feel cheesed off. They had a 3-0 series lead right in front of them. But Minnesota wins 5-2 in Game 4. Many goal for Binkley. Bathgate and Dillable for Pitt. Connolly, Parker McDonald, Parise, and then 2 by Davey Ballin late. So Minnesota has a chance to make the Stanley Cup Finals. Montreal wins on Perla Gachignon. Gilles Tremblay his 2nd of the postseason at 7:36 from Duffin LaPerriere off of Jackman. Montreal was down 4-2, but Provo and Ferguson scored goals. Minnesota cannot finish the job. They lose 5-2 in Pittsburgh, but they'll be going home. Ballin and Cullen for Minnesota. Pitt goes by Hicks, Day, Ingerfield, Andrea, and Dillenball. So Minnesota will at least go home with a chance to clinch. Game 5, Rangers beat Montreal 5-2. Jackman over Fashon. Montreal was up 2-0 on goals by Ferguson and Claude LaRose, but Nevin, Fleming, Nevin, Gilbert, and Rattel the goals for the Rangers. Is it Rangers, Minnesota? Well, Montreal's forced a Game 7 back in New York, 5-1. Worsley over Jackman. Goyette, the only goal for the Rangers. Cournoyer, Ferguson, Belleville, Lemaire, and Backstrom scoring for Montreal. Can't believe Sean Ferguson had 6 goals. And Minnesota wins in overtime. Ray Cullen his 10th from Wojciech, 6-5. Minnesota was down by 1 with a minute left. Collins scored from McMahon and Wojciech in the final minute of regulation and then won in overtime off Binkley. So Minnesota had a chance. But they did it in 9:07. And just like we did, St. Louis did in real life, taking out Minnesota, that was in overtime to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. So Minnesota's run should have been our run, if you will. Game 7, I'm going to go with the Rangers. And I am correct. The Rangers win 4-2. Gilbert with 2, Marshall and Nevin. Montreal goes by Ted Harris and Backstrom, but not enough as the Rangers beat the Habs and go into the Stanley Cup Finals. So maybe the Rangers would. Yeah, Minnesota. They're doing it for their fallen comrade Bill Masterton. Rangers try to do it to break a 28-year drought and to christen Madison Square Garden 4, as they call it. Anyway, Rangers go first. Game 1 sees a 5-2 Rangers win. Don Simmons in the net against Manico. Wow. Minnesota goes by Sandy Fitzpatrick and Parker McDonald. Rangers go by Sean Rattel, Bob Nevin, Ron Seeley. Kitchener! Roger Bear and Phil Goyette. Game 2 sees the Rangers win 8-0. Vermeulen getting the shutout over Manico. Camille the Eel Henry, Orland Quarterback, Vic Hatfield, Roger Albert, Sean Rattel, Bob Nevin, and then Reg Fleming. 7 different Rangers scoring goals. They're up 2-0. Rangers win 7-1. Wow, that's not even close. Jacobin over Bauman. Only Minnesota goal was by Cullen, breaking about what? Almost 120-minute shutout streak. Rod Stewart, Roger Bear, Sean Martel, Vic Hatfield, Phil Goyette, Sean Martel, and Roger Bear. Rangers going for the sweep. They got the sweep. Rangers sweep the North Stars. Jackman over Manico. Bill Collins is 5th for Minnesota Rangers. Goals by Kernbach, Jim Nielsen, Gilbert, and Kernbach. And the New York Rangers win the 1968 playthrough. The New York Rangers of all teams win the title. So that's good in a sense. They only gave up, wow, they only gave up 4 goals in 4 games. That's pretty good. Well, scoring 24 themselves. See the bracket and all of that. Yeah. Minnesota. Many go 7-8. Pretty much the goalie for Minnesota in the playoffs. Bellman was 1-1. That's not bad. They beat Philly in 7. They beat Pittsburgh in 6, and then they got swept by the Rangers. Parker McDonald put up 18 points. Wayne Connolly 16. Rick Cullen 16. Mike McMahon, the guy who sunk us. It's kind of weird how Minnesota had to sweep the weekend to get to the playoffs, and then they would go on this magical run to the finals. Reminds everyone of St. Louis. Meanwhile, the champion Rangers at Jackman 10-5. Simmons and Vermeulen only played 1 game each and got the win. So Vermeulen, his only game was a shutout. They had 6 games. Toronto. Montreal held them flat, but they had to win in 7. And then they swept the North Stars. Rod Gilbert, 28 points. He is your MVP. Sean Rattel, 21. Bob Nevin, 20. Phil Goya, 18. Orland Kernbach with 17. Too bad the Rangers had to give him up to Vancouver. Don Marshall with 15. Harry Howell with 11. Vic Hatfield with 8. Ernie Brown with 8. Jim Nielsen with 7. Reg Fleming with 6 points. Camille Henry with 5. Ron Stewart with 5. Dude, we gave up Ron Stewart just to get Red Berenson. So Ron Stewart had basically screwed us over. He was pretty good in goal scoring. And he had what? Well, he had 4 goals. That's impossible. He had like 17 for us, didn't he? Oh, Stewart had 8 goals for us and 4 goals for the Rangers. So he had 12 goals. In the playoffs, he got, well, in the playoffs, he scored 3 goals, 2 assists. So Ron Stewart screwed us over by winning the Stanley Cup anyhow. Rod Sealing with 5 points, Bernie Jeffron with 4 points, Wayne Hillman with 2. So yeah, great job by the New York Rangers. 40, 20, and 14, missing the play. They missed first place by 1 point over Boston because Montreal tied them on the final night. Yeah, they had a pretty good. They had a better home road record. They had the best road record on the East. And Minnesota, 21, 29, and 24. 8 games below 500. That's the same as Chicago, in a sense. But Chicago didn't make the playoffs. Chicago and Minnesota tied with 66 points. Chicago would have somehow snuck in, right? Yeah, they would have. Chicago would have snuck in because they had more wins than Minnesota. But Minnesota swept us on the final weekend. Not the best final weekend I've ever seen. So that's all from the St. Louis perspective. So now we'll tune into the 1970-71 season because I want to do a season in which Kent Dryden actually makes things happen for Montreal. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.